Thank you for joining us today for a conversation with Rakuten's founder and CEO, Mikitani. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone that today's event is on the record. English and Japanese simultaneous interpretation is available. We are also receiving questions in the Q&A box. Now, I'd like to introduce the U.S. Embassy Tokyo's Chargé d'Affaires, Joseph Young, who will get us started.
Thanks, Grace, and good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm delighted to be here with Mr. Mikitani to speak about U.S.-Japan educational exchange. Here at the U.S. Embassy, we firmly believe that academic exchanges play a critical role in maintaining and indeed strengthening our U.S.-Japan relationship. Studying abroad provides students with the unique opportunity to experience life in the United States firsthand and build lasting friendships with Americans. These bonds foster deep mutual understanding and appreciation that in turn ensure our unique partnership will endure for future generations. The many educational exchanges that exist between the United States and Japan, the Fulbright Scholarship is certainly among the most prestigious. Established in 1946 by Senator J. William Fulbright, the grant has helped thousands of scholars to pursue studies in the United States, furthering work in their respective fields and bringing our nations closer together. Today, I'm joined by the son of one of Japan's first Fulbright scholars. Miki is, of course, well known for his business acumen and his leadership in a wide variety of fields. Today, he will speak on a very personal level, as we will learn from him how educational exchange and study in the United States made a difference in his family. Miki, we are immeasurably grateful to have your vision driving U.S.-Japan educational exchanges forward. I'm eager to hear more from you about your own experiences with study abroad.
Hey, should I start? Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Joseph, for a wonderful introduction. And I am myself extremely honored to be here doing this presentation, and more than that, to financially, in a very small manner, help this great program, Fulbright program in general. But I have my personal reason why I'm so excited to join this program, because as mentioned, my father was one of the first generation Fulbright scholarship students invited to US after the World War II. I clearly remember my father passed away, unfortunately, 7 years ago. Because of the difficult cancer, and now which is leading, which led to my aspiration to get into the not only IT businesses but also into the cancer treatment medical business as well, which is also the joint effort between U.S. institution NIH and Rakuten Medical. My father was initially planning to go to Germany, to be very honest. And then he got a great news that he will, get the subsidies from US government to study in the United States. And the first year, he went to Harvard. Despite the fact it was not like open society like it is now, the hospitality of the Harvard was great. If you can show the pictures, the first one. Yeah, so this is the picture of his classes. I don't know who is who. I think there is a Dr. Heisuke Hironaka, one of the greatest mathematician, and Mr. Taro Hashimoto. I think he's now the chairman of one of the international investment bank. and also ex-CEO of Fuji Bank. And they were, they went to US together. And again, my father studied at Harvard first year, and second year, he moved to Stanford to study macroeconomics. And he made so many friends. He was a very, very social person. And then, especially at Stanford, the host family was very, very hospitable. They took care of my father and mother very well, because they didn't have much money at the time. But I feel that this big, great America gave us opportunity to become international and to become successful. And after I was born, and I was at 7 years old, we went back to Yale, and he was a visiting scholar at Yale. And that was my first chance to go to the United States. At that time, $1 was 360 yen. And I remember, my family couldn't buy Halloween costumes. And I only got one toy because everything was so expensive. And my father was still public servant. And but what we had is enough time to travel all around the United States. So we took non-air conditioned Volkswagen Beetle and travel all around the United States. Putting our tent in the back, we camped, staying in a motel, and travel all around the United States. One day, I woke up in the car, and in front of me, there's a big dip, and my legs were shaking, and that was a Grand Canyon. And I really realized how big America is and how big the world is. And that has been sticking to my head until now. And I always try to think, not we limit ourselves with the boundary of the Japan, but think globally. In 1991, I was selected by my bank to go to US to study at business school. And definitely, I need to confess, my father's friend helped me and wrote recommendation to go to Harvard Business School. So without Fulbright, I couldn't probably get into Harvard Business School. Maybe I could, but I don't know. But anyhow, if you can show me show us the second slide. This was the first time I heard the word entrepreneurship. I didn't know what is entrepreneurship is. I didn't know entrepreneur. My vision was just to pursue my career at the investment bank and become an investment banker. But I encountered so many young talented people at Harvard Business School, and I really realized the driving force of the United States of America is entrepreneurship. And that really changed my dream and my vision. And after coming back from Harvard, I decided to jump off from the cliff of the big Japanese bank and started my own company from scratch. And I didn't have any money. I started from the capital, whatever left in my bank account, started from zero, never raised any money from venture capitals. And here I am. During the course of the development of Rakuten, obviously my friends, the dean, the professors of Harvard and other business schools really helped me to build a business model, introducing many tech people, and so forth and so forth. So everything started from the Fulbright scholarship, and I feel I am extremely honored for getting this opportunity to pay back to that. So thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you for your remarks. And we'd like to ask you a few questions.
Yeah.
First, what is the biggest difference between those who have study abroad experience and those who don't?
Well, I think it's about diversity, understanding. This diversity is the source of innovation and the creation of new things. Obviously, I'm very, very proud to be Japanese. I like Japanese culture. I like the humbleness and teamwork spirit of Japan. But there are so many talented people all around the world, and we need to bridge all these intelligence to make the world a better place. And unfortunately, although Japan is still the third largest economy in the world, it's now especially very inward looking. And I think you have to be very, very much more open. Of course, you can maybe become like that, even if you stay in Japan. But going abroad, interacting with international diverse community will definitely open up your eyes and open up your minds.
Great. So how can Japan provide more financial support for students to study abroad?
I'm trying to convince Japanese government not more. I told them, instead of why don't you instead of building a new universities or new campuses, we should create a billions of dollars fund to help talented young people to go to schools abroad, to the graduate schools, undergrad, maybe high school, and that's gonna be a much better investment than building the new facilities and campus and schools from scratch. But if there's any project, let me know and I will help.
Great. So do you think study abroad will still be necessary in the beyond 5G era?
Definitely yes. Obviously this digital media has done a great job. If you didn't have these video conferences capability or without internet, I think we could have lost a lot more people than what we have lost. Of course, it was a tragedy, but it could have been much, much worse without it. But the physical has a different meaning. I could have become successful because of my network. My network, of course, I have a very strong network in Japan, but I have a very strong network, which started from my network at Harvard Business School and expanded it. They gave us not only ideas, but the vision and the philosophy. And I have so many trusted advisors around the world. So it's going to be totally different, I think.
So a question from a current student currently studying abroad in the US. This student says, I still have trouble sharing my opinions like the people in the United States. How did you learn to speak your mind and share your opinions like the people here?
Well, I think the weakness of Japanese is being shy, right? And being humble and being shy are slightly different. And don't try to, be perfect, especially when you're speaking. You don't need to speak perfect English. You just don't be afraid of making, grammatical mistakes. And try to communicate and open up your mind. And if you don't understand, tell your friends you don't understand what they're saying. Just to be honest. and interact as a human to human.
That's great advice. So in the future, what role do you think Japanese universities should fulfill in Japan and on the world stage?
Again, there is no boundary anymore. There is a boundary, but it is going to be a lot more, ambiguous. And all the academical institutions need to become more global, including Japanese and other countries. And we should coordinate more international students. Definitely, they need to change the academic calendar year to fit to the global standard, not from April, but from September, which is going to make it much easier for students to come in and go to international universities and high schools. But now it is taking place, but we have to become more global and not only educate and train Japanese, but educate, people from outside of Japan.
So going back to your study abroad experience, two questions. First, after you started working at the Industrial Bank of Japan, what motivated you to go to Harvard and how did you get there? And as related to that, why did you choose Harvard?
Well, it's the best business school, by the way. Many people has a different opinions. But especially for the business school, it's all only case studies. It changed a little bit, but it's the program itself. I think it's gonna fit to me rather than doing this kind of classroom style lectures. It's more interactive. It's basically debate based, and I thought this is something I really like to become more interactive rather than sitting in a lecture room and reading textbook. So for some people it depends on what you want to learn, like Wharton, Kellogg, Stanford. Yeah, there are lots of great business schools, but the Harvard case study method, I think it is gonna fit to me the best. And what was the next question? Why Harvard? Yeah, that's why Harvard.
So the other part was after you had already started a career working at the Industrial Bank of Japan, what motivated you to go back to school?
Well, I went to Japanese high school, Japanese university, and I wanted to go back to US to study. Definitely, I was not engineer, I was not medical doctor, and naturally, there's only two alternatives. One is go back to more academic career, which is probably not an option for me. And then the only option is go to business school. And I wanted to become always what I call at that time international businessman. I did not really envision to become an entrepreneur at that time, but I wanted to become international because it's so intriguing and attractive to interact with many other people from different backgrounds and different countries. I just wanted to become more international at that time.
Wonderful. Okay. We're running close to the end of our program, but I want to ask just one more question. This might be a big one. What kind of society or world do you want to create through your business activities and through your personal life?
Yeah. So I started from scratch. Now we have 25,000 employees in my company, and business is pretty much diversified from internet shopping, banking, brokerage, insurance, credit card, now telecom. And I also, one of the, I think, something very different from other companies which we have done, we changed internal communication language from Japanese to English 8 years ago. And the journey has been very, very challenging, but now every single person in our group can manage to communicate in English. And their TOEIC score improved from average of 400 to 850. And I'm not talking about just very young people, I'm talking about the senior people too. And now we have so many people from different countries in Tokyo, and it is probably the most globalized organization in Japan. But I think we have to become even more global. Because I think, again, I'm a strong believer of the diversity, not only the nationality, but also gender and sexual orientation and so forth, religious too. So we just wanted to represent how the world should look like. This is ambitious, but I believe that's what we want to do.
Wonderful. Miki, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you again. Great.
Now, I'd like to hand it over to the Executive Director of Fulbright Japan, Matt Sussman.
Thank you, Grace, and thank you, Nikki, for this wonderful moment to talk with you about study abroad. I found it fascinating how you're talking about, the great qualities of Japan and what you learned, the qualities that you learned in the United States. I can kind of relate to that myself, actually, because I love Japan. I love staying here, and you've kind of motivated me to get out of Japan too. So I can understand how Japanese students might be reticent to study abroad, but you've really given everybody an inspiring message. Thank you so much. And so thank you for sharing the story about your father, Professor Ryoichi Mikitani, and about how he influenced your life. The Mikitani Memorial Grant and your gift of 90 million yen is a substantial donation that we very much appreciate. Will be in the memory of your father, who joined the Fulbright program in 1959 as an ambitious young man at the age of 29, who was eager to learn more about the burgeoning field of economics, and who was curious to know more about the United States and the world outside of Japan, as you just mentioned. His ideas and spirit of discovering knowledge lives on in the Fulbright Mikitani Memorial Grant. With your generous donation, we will support future Japanese leaders who are academics like your father and business professionals and entrepreneurs like you. On behalf of the Fulbright Foreign Scholarship Board, our Fulbright Japan Commission Board, the Secretariat, and our alumni community, thank you very much for this gift. It really means a lot to us. I would also like to thank Chargé Young and all of our friends at the US Embassy who have always been so supportive of the Fulbright program and for hosting this event to inspire Japanese to become leaders in the future. The Fulbright program is financially supported not only by the US government, but also by the government of Japan. And I would like to take this moment to thank our co-chair, Taguchi, the Director General for International Affairs at the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology, for his continual support for Fulbright Japan. The Fulbright Mikitani Memorial Grant would not be possible without the support of our Alumni Foundation and the Fulbright Alumni Association of Japan also. And so I'd like to say thank you to our alumni leaders, President Bunno and President Ino, respectively. And in today's webinar, it's amazing that we have over 650 people signed up. So a lot of people were very eager to hear your message. And I think, just like me, we were so inspired. I would like to say to the Japanese students and scholars in the audience today, I would like to encourage you to apply for a Fulbright grant. Our application period for the 2022 year is going to start on April 1st of this year, and it will end on May 31st. So there's plenty of time to start getting ready. And as Mickey advised you, start getting those reference letters ready, right? As mentioned before, the Fulbright Mikitani Memorial Grant will be awarded for 3 years, starting from 2021 to 5 to 6 Japanese Fulbright grantees to financially support their studies in graduate studies for masters and PhDs in the United States in the fields of social sciences and humanities. So please visit the Fulbright Japan and Education USA websites for more information about our grants and for useful and practical information about studying in the United States. Thank you everyone for joining the webinar. Thank you so much to Mickey for your amazing donation. And we look forward to partnering with you going forward. And to everybody in the audience at our office in Fulbright Japan, we're looking forward to seeing your applications in the near future. Back to Grace. Thank you, Grace.
Thanks, Matt. And thank you all for joining us today. Again, a big thanks to Chargé Young, to Mickey, to Matt for all of your remarks. A quick request to all of our guests, please remember to fill out our post-program survey, either by clicking on the link in the chat box or connecting via the QR code that we'll show you in just a moment. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you again soon.